That's my cousin.
Why didn't you tell me he was in the vehicle?
Man, you know, he ain't got warrants for that.
Welcome back to Advocacy Alchemy with Professor Ross. Today we have a good one, guys. What starts as a simple traffic stop for tinted windows quickly unravels into something much bigger along Highway US 57 there in Maverick County, Texas. A routine interaction between a Texas state trooper and a driver ends with a U.S. Border Patrol K9 sniff and a trunk with something hidden inside. But that doesn't change what the law sees. Let's break it all down, because this case isn't about what they found, but it's about how they found it. With that, let's jump in.
Hello, so the reason for your stop today? What's that?
License.
Oh, you don't have it with you?
Nah, I don't. I just had to show it to Eagle Pass the same way. They just told me to keep it.
What was that?
I just had to show it to Eagle Pass and Border Patrol the same way.
Oh, you got
I just got pulled over twice on the way.
Oh, what
I got
for?
pulled over in Eagle Pass because I didn't use the turn signal cutting into a lane. So they just ripped my whole car apart over there, and then I come through the Border Patrol.
Yeah.
And they did the same shit to me. Just
Really?
because I didn't have my license with me. I showed them the picture of my license and everything. They did the same thing. And then they ended up letting me go through that. Like, I come through here the last 2 days. I let you guys search my car. The last 2 times I came through here, I don't understand what the problem is.
Do you give me consent to search the vehicle?
They just searched my car twice.
Okay, I understand that. You give me consent though? No?
I don't give anybody
Okay.
consent. They just went through my whole car with the dogs and everything in Border Patrol, so I don't understand. Listen, I ain't hiding nothing. You ain't my name. I don't know what you even pulled me over for. My tint.
I told you the tint. Yes,
10%. You checked my tint.
It's 25%.
So it's a traffic stop.
Yes, okay, so after I verify the tint, then that's when I ask for your ID.
Okay. Take him off. That's my cousin.
Alright, you're gonna go. I'm gonna detain you for an hour. We'll investigate, okay?
That's my cousin.
Why didn't you tell me he was in the vehicle?
Man, you know, he ain't got warrants for that.
But who drives with him in the trunk? Who drives with him in the trunk like that?
They wanted to go back there. I don't know.
That's okay. Well, you're detained right now?
Back up front?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so how about that? People in the trunk of that small car. Oh man, you know it's cramped back there. All right, so let's jump into the laws here. This happened in Texas, so we'll be viewing the Texas laws. All right, let's start with number 1, the reason for the stop. Okay, the stop was because of tinted windows. Under the Texas Transportation Code, section 547.613, there's a prohibition for windows that are tinted below a certain visibility threshold. Now, the officer believed that the tint violated the legal limit, which is later verified as 25%. So with that, the stop was valid because she said that his tint came in, I think, at 10, but it had to be above 25%. All right. Number 2, the refusal of consent to search. All right, that's a basis for why we're looking at this short video, which is nice to have a short video every now and again. But citizens have a constitutional right under the 4th Amendment to refuse a warrantless search of their vehicle. Here, this driver did exactly that. But the K9 sniff. Let's look at number 3. Border Patrol got involved. This is in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is really close to the border. All right. So once consent was denied, the officer can conduct a non-intrusive sniff using a trained drug or human detection dog if it doesn't unreasonably extend the stop. Now here, calling a Border Patrol K9 in this border region is probably very routine. And legally, they probably can do it, okay? Number 4, smuggling of persons, all right? This is found in the Texas Penal Code, section 20.05. All right, this statute makes it a felony to transport individuals in a manner that's concealed from law enforcement, creates a substantial likelihood of serious bodily injury or death, or with the intent to evade law enforcement. So the reason that you would put somebody in the trunk is because you're trying to hide them from either the police or, in this case, probably customs. All right, having 2 grown men in the trunk satisfies all 3 of those prior conditions we talked about, especially concealment and the danger to someone's safety. If you get into a car wreck and somebody's in the trunk, they're going to be severely injured because they're not strapped in. Now, if this is done for money or if the individuals are undocumented, federal charges could also apply. All right, now let's walk through the 6 levels of evidence and how they apply in this situation. So first, the lowest, mere suspicion. Now, this is just a gut feeling with no concrete proof. Here, the officer's suspicion may have started with the driver's nervous behavior and repeatedly mentioning that he was just stopped twice. An important consideration is that mere suspicion doesn't give the government or the police any ability to do anything. All right, now they may pay closer attention, but nothing else. Now, moving up a level, we have reasonable suspicion. Now, this is a step higher, and this requires specific and articulable facts that some crime is occurring. Now, here, the window tint, the driver's evasion, and his past stops likely met this level, justifying an extended questioning and, later on, a request for a canine dog. Number 3, probable cause. All right, this is an important level, everyone, okay? So, all right, this is what's needed for a search of a vehicle or to make an arrest or to go request a search warrant. All right, here, once that canine dog alerted and sat down, the officers had probable cause to open the trunk. All right, you notice that dog, I don't know if that was just a human dog or if that dog was trained on humans and drugs. But you notice that when he passed by the trunk, he kind of went there at first, and then he kind of wanted to stay right there. Like, hey, hold on, there's something here. And then once he smelled in the crack, it was over. He was like, all right, there's something right there. The thing is, when they train these dogs, it becomes a game. It's a game for the dog. All right, he's trying to get to the treat. He only gets a treat once he gets it correct on finding wherever the stuff is, whether it's drugs or people or some toy, whatever it is. All right, let's move up one more level. Let's go to preponderance of the evidence. Now, this means more likely than not, you'll find this standard being used in civil court when people are suing each other for money, things of that nature. Now, if the prosecutor in Texas wanted to bring a civil forfeiture for the vehicle, that Lexus, then this would be the standard they had to meet, just 51% of the evidence in their favor, showing that this car was used to commit a crime. And that's a lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, we'll get there in just a second. But next, we have number 5, clear and convincing evidence. Now, this is a higher standard that's used in higher stakes civil cases like terminating parental rights or a termination of someone's employment. Now, it's not really central here, but it might apply if the state wanted to prove some intent to endanger beyond a basic smuggling charge, or if they want to get some sort of enhancement. That's when you have to have that clear and convincing evidence. That usually means that they have to have about 75% of the evidence in their favor to win that issue. Finally, we have beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, this is the gold standard. The state must prove every element of smuggling beyond a reasonable doubt. And what that means is that there is no other reasonable alternative besides the defendant being guilty of this charge. Now, let me ask you this. Was this a favor to some cousins, or was it more like coordinated smuggling? And that's a question that a jury will have to decide. Remember, this just happened May 25th. It's only July 1st, so that just happened. All right, so let's move into the jury perspective next. Let's say you're sitting on the jury. Let's ask ourselves a few questions that are important. All right, first, would you believe the driver when he says the men wanted to ride in the trunk? Doesn't matter if they're related or not. Does the driver's earlier frustration, does it suggest innocence, or was it an awareness of his current wrongdoing? What does your intuition say about this case? Now, we only have a small snippet here, so if you were on this jury, you would have a lot more body cam of what was going on. You'll hear a lot more about what people were saying, and you would have the testimony of the officers and potentially the defendants in this case. All right, when you saw those men in the trunk when the officer opened the trunk up, did your gut feeling say, well, that doesn't seem all the way right? Remember, jury members often lean both on the facts and their feelings when determining if a person is guilty or not. All right, so you tell me below, guilty or not guilty. And remember, they haven't went to trial yet, so everybody's still innocent until proven guilty. But hey, that camera's hard to prove wrong. Let's move into the conclusion. This case shows us how routine stops can expose serious crimes and how important it is to understand your rights. Like saying no to a search, that is your right, but it doesn't shield you from a legal canine sniff, especially if you're traveling in these border regions. If you're ever in this situation, be mindful of how you carry yourself, what you say, and what's in your vehicle. Remember, when law enforcement smells that something's off, both literally and figuratively, probable cause will quickly follow. Drop a comment below. Was this smuggling or stupidity? Should the passenger face the same charge? And do you think the officers did everything by the book? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Remember, this is Advocacy Alchemy, and I am Professor Ross. I'll see you tomorrow. Everyone be safe out there, and have a good day.